dark years of the Second World War, the Spitfire became a symbol of national resistance, hope and ultimately of victory. Developed from the supermarine racing seaplane, it first flew in 1936. But it was in 1940 that the Spitfire proved its mettle, outmanoeuvring German Messerschmitts in the Battle of Britain.
Spitfire is probably one of the easiest aircraft you could fly. Has no vices and is a superb response from the controls, and I suppose you could sum it up as merely a pilot's aeroplane.
Today, 30 of the original 300-strong team behind the Spitfire returned to Southampton, where the planes were designed and built, to hear tributes to their work. Among the guests was the son of R.J. Mitchell, the creator of the Spitfire.
My father always took the opportunity to acknowledge the help he received from all his colleagues. One speech he made, he said, "Anything I have done has been as a member of a big team."
For the team, now in their 80s and 90s, it was an emotional experience.
We didn't realise at the time the significance, but it's been a wonderful thing, and as somebody said to me the other day, it's a step in history.
A book listing the names of all 321 members of the design team has now been produced in honour of the unsung heroes of the Battle of Britain. David Fenton, BBC News in Southampton.
And the main news again tonight.
Pilots of vintage aircraft in the business. A former RAF man, he made his living flying Boeing jets for Britannia Airways. Civil Aviation Authority investigators have spent months painstakingly analysing videotapes taken by onlookers at last year's Flying Legends air show. They captured the Lockheed P38 Lightning trying to repeat a daring aerobatic roll when it plummeted to the ground. But there's no adequate explanation for the crash.
There was a public appeal for videos of the accident, of home video film, and they got, I gather, 60 responses, and they studied all of them in great detail. They also can tell a great deal from the position of the aircraft wreckage and from witness statements. There were a lot of very experienced pilots saw the accident happened. So they've taken them all together, and as I say, they haven't come up with any definite conclusion.
The Air Accident Investigation Report concludes there is no evidence to explain why the aircraft entered the second part of the final manoeuvre in a less than optimum attitude. The possibility of a temporary restriction to the flying controls or some other form of distraction of the pilot could not be dismissed. It was the first fatal accident in 23 years of air shows at Duxford. No spectators were hurt, but the plane demolished 10 other aircraft on the ground before it was engulfed by a fireball. Debris was sent flying across the nearby M11 motorway. Following the investigation, safety improvements have already been made to air shows here at Duxford, and the report says further recommendations should be in place before displays elsewhere. The first is at Mildenhall in just over a fortnight's time.
We will be proceeding with this year's programme and we'll be following, and in some cases will be ahead of the minimum Civil Aviation Authority requirements, and we'll be implementing any changes that arise out of the review group that has been considering air display safety, and we hope for a successful and safe season.
Duxford is putting on 4 air shows this summer. The museum says its first priority is the safety of spectators. Damien Grammaticus, Look East, Duxford.